Good morning, everybody. Betting for breakfast. Up a little early this morning. We got a great show lined up today, powered by the Sharp app. Make sure you download the Sharp app. Listen, we got a lot going on. March Madness right around the corner. You want to be in the Discord. The links are below in the description. Listen, we got a ton of bets lined up. We got all kinds of action going on. Now the NBA back in full swing in the last 6-minute stretch before the postseason. March Madness, ton of stuff going on. So make sure you join the community, get into Discord, download the Sharp app today for all the best odds. Dave, I talked about the NBA. We got like 6-week stretch to the postseason. There was a lot of volatility at the trade deadline with a lot of different teams. None more apparent than what we saw last night with our hometown Philadelphia 76ers. James Harden, 47 points, rebounds, and assists, 27, 8, and 12. Couldn't have gone any better. Sixers blowout win, won by 30-something points. I don't know exactly what it was, 31 or whatnot, but they got the money for the bettors. They cashed. They look good. If you have Sixers futures, you're probably very happy with the first game. Long way to go, but things are looking good in Philadelphia.
Who was worried? Who out there was worried that James Harden would come here and not fit in with Joel Embiid? Who was worried that he was coming fat, lazy James Harden? This guy's out there to prove something, and he started with his first game performance last night proving something. He's still James Harden. That's what he is. He's the beard. He's one of the top 5 players in the NBA. And for anyone out there that had any doubts about James Harden, I hope they're erased, and I hope they all realize this. We traded James Harden for Seth Curry. I mean, that's pretty much what we did. And you can see what the team looks like because of that. The addition of Willie Cauley-Stein, that probably wraps it up for the Sixers, and this is what we got going forward. I don't think you'll see any more buyouts. They're deep enough with Shake, with Korkmaz, with Niang. I just think what you saw last night can only get better. Now, will they hit some speed bumps? Absolutely. But just you can already see the relationship that James and Joel are building, and the rest of the team. Maxey was probably the biggest, recipient of the space on the floor last night. His speed is, second to none in the league. And then you open up the floor like that, and he drops 28. So it was fun. And you're right. Sixers futures look a lot better. And guess what? Last week we talked MVP. Embiid's volume might go down. No, I was wrong.
Yeah, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Yeah, it looks like it is going to go up. They're still going to be able to get him involved. They're going to be able to dominate. He's going to have these dominating games still, with James Harden. And as long as he can stay healthy, that's the key thing. Yeah. They're going to go pretty far, I feel like, this year. And it's only one game. The East is wide open. Yep. There's a ton of competition, but that's what you want. That's why you go all in this year. That's why you try and, make it happen this season for the Sixers. Because like I said, I think getting Harden at the trade deadline, it was more beneficiary than if you get him in the beginning of the year, because it kind of, limits the time, right? So it's like he comes in, he's 6 weeks, and that's the playoffs. It's let's go. Listen, if things don't work out in the playoffs, and then maybe he's unhappy in the offseason or whatnot, we see old James Harden, who knows? But he's going to be focused and dialed in for these next couple months, and it leads right into the playoffs. So very exciting stuff for the Sixers. Lots of value in the Eastern Conference as far as futures. Like I said, there are a ton of teams that are live, to win the conference. Sixers being one of them. I expect those odds to move based off of last night's dominating win for the Sixers. Another game last night that if, East Coast people had the coffee on, they saw the Lakers can't seem to get out of their way, losing to the Clippers late night. And, some of the key in the betting circles I talked to, the people that I've spoken with, one of the more interesting topics is, how do the Lakers finish this thing out? Like, does LeBron just wave the white flag, or do they just kind of fight to the end and try and push through this? And, because if you look back at last year they were a lower seed, had the Suns on the ropes, let them off the hook, right? And I don't know. Are they motivated down the stretch? I think is a key thing. How do you see things playing out for the Lakers in these final couple weeks?
I see it playing out similarly to how it has over the past 2 months. This is a team that's kind of been each wheel's falling off, and it's falling off slowly. They probably got about 2 left on opposite sides of the vehicle. The next one that goes, I think we're just dragging the hubcaps and the rotors and right into the ground. they've done it to themselves. And obviously they're a drama show on purpose, with LeBron and isolating Westbrook, the coach isolating Westbrook. And then now LeBron, like, what team brings in their agent to, pretty much do a lie detector test with the GM? And I mean, just sits them down, crushes them all day long, puts out these little tidbits in social media, then says, no, it's not us. We're here committed. There's just too much smoke. This is over. They could sneak in still in that 9-10 game. And I think that would be fun for us to watch them just, blow up in smoke, on TV. But it's over. Anthony Davis's injury kills them, but he's just never gonna. Chuck always says it. Barkley, what's he call him? Any day, not all day. AD, like he's available sometimes, right? And it hurts. They went all in on a guy that he's very injury prone, and they got nothing around him. It's bad. Last night, LeBron, I know he had to shoot that 3, but I mean, he's in the 3rd row by the time he falls back down. Like, that's a horrible shot. He's fading away from the corner.
Well, I felt like neither team wanted to win that game last night. Like, when you watch the end of that game, it just looked like they were both fumbling all over each other. Clippers come away with the win. Lakers on the ropes. Going to be very interesting to see how they end up down the stretch. Before we get into today's slate of games, Suns lose to the Pelicans, right? Chris Paul injury, obviously big headline. How are they going to react down the stretch? Any cause for concern with the Suns? It would take a miracle for them to drop out of the first seed. Like, they got to go like 500, and the Warriors got to go like 18-5. We expect them to at least be able to go 500 down the stretch, correct?
Right. They're going to be fine. They're going to get the number 1 seed, and then we've already talked about the prospects of who they may play, and it's going to be a team under 500. And I think they can win without Chris Paul. I mean, he may be back by then. We're not quite sure what his, 6 to 8 weeks, but you saw he wrapped it up in the All-Star game. We play left-handed, and if that makes them better, Chris Paul's not letting this chance go by. So I'm not quite worried from the Suns' potentials of losing that first seed, and I'm not worried about them getting to the second round. Where I'm worried is just the continuity, right? You play as a team, you get better. Having this guy out for that long, and then to pick it up and play someone like Golden State or Memphis might be, if he comes back just for the second round, I think that's tough. It's a tough ask. I know it'll infuse some energy in them, but as far as your point about it, am I worried now? No, I'm not. They still got they're going to win some games. Like, I watched last night, I think Cameron Johnson put up like 11 threes. They're playing a different style. Mikal Bridges, he's probably going to be most improved player in the NBA this year. They'll be okay.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. It was just interesting to see, like, right out the gates, they take the L against a team like the Pelicans, who, listen, McCollum infused some life into an organization that desperately needed it. But, I think the Suns are going to be just fine. Not concerned
well, they did beat
at all.
The Thunder coming right out of the.
Oh, that's right. Yep, they did. They got the Thunder, and then they lose to the Pelicans. Right.
I mean, the Pelicans are not good, and it's at home. I got it, but Pelicans are a little better with McCollum. So yeah,
maybe even better with Zion. If he wanted to play basketball, it'd be nice.
JJ Reddick said that ain't happening.
Yeah, well, JJ Reddick says a lot of things, that guy. But it's funny because I talk to people about Reddick, man, and they don't know. But you're probably the only person on earth that knows how much I despise JJ Reddick, just because of how I felt like when he was here in Philadelphia, he just destroyed the offense. Like, it was just, they kept looking to him for the threes constantly. And I'm like, you cannot build your offense around JJ Reddick. Like, get this Brett Brown out of here. This is ridiculous.
No separation either, right? You needed 8 screens to get him open.
Just, and then what I don't like, what I hate the most about him is, like, he does this podcast. He's all mouth now. Like, now he's got a ton to say. You know what I mean? He's like a church mouse during his career. But anyway, enough of JJ Reddick. That was too much time we spent on him. Let's get into today's slate. Listen, it starts a little nooner today.
I like
Boston
the nooner.
Celtics and Detroit Pistons. Detroit Pistons, the bad boys. Bad in a different way that Bill Lambier's bad boys were bad back in the day. You look at this team, 30th net rating, 29th, offensive rating. They don't score. They don't play defense. Not good overall. Playing a surging Celtics team that a lot of people think there's a lot of value in the futures market with, including me. I think that this is a team that defensively can make some noise. They're really buying in. Was 10.5 this morning, already up to 11.5. I'm seeing 11.5s all the way across, or 11s all the way across the board. I apologize. How do we think this one's going to go? I mean, this is a Boston team, 7-3 against the spread in their last 10 road games against a poor Pistons team. And Dave, when I look at it, big number to lay with a team like Boston on the road, but I'm leaning that this is the right side. I think this is the bet. I think Boston's the bet. You look at how they've been playing. They're clicking on all cylinders. And Detroit, bad defensively. Boston's going to be able to score at will. We know Detroit can't score on Boston. Is it too big of an ask to lay double digits with the Celtics?
No, it's not. And let's look what Boston has done. They had won 3 straight road games by 30-plus points, ending with that Sixers game just about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And then what do they do coming out of the All-Star break? They win another big one by 23 on the road against the Nets. So they're a team that is absolutely right now you have value in, especially with this high of a spread. Let's also look at what they've done against the Pistons recently. One of their most recent losses was to the Detroit Pistons. They lost right before the All-Star break, 112-111 on a last-second shot. And even before that, they only beat Detroit by 9 earlier in February in Detroit. So I think there's a little bit of motivation here. You always get worried in big spread games. What's the motivation for the team that's favored by a lot? Just get the W, just get out sometimes is the motivation. Well, in this case, I think they're going to be motivated from the start, knowing that Detroit has beat them recently, know they played another close game against them. And Boston sees the energy and what they're starting to build here. I think the addition of Derek White has been big for them. It spreads out the floor a little more. And they're the best in the past 2 months, they're the best defensive rated team in the NBA. So like you said, Detroit doesn't score very well. They scored 94 the game prior to when they scored 112 against Boston. I look for a lower scoring game. I think the Celtics can win by margin here.
Yeah, I like them. It's probably going to be a bet for me. Definitely like the Celtics in this spot. A lot of people talking about the Celtics. A lot of people talking about the Sixers. A lot of people are going to be talking about the Nets. The East, like I said, wide open. Do you know who's sick and tired of hearing about them all? Jimmy Butler.
Oh,
Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat flying right under the radar, getting no respect. That's eating at Butler's crawl. We're very familiar with Butler spending time here with the Sixers in Philadelphia. They host the San Antonio Spurs today. Opened at 7.5. This thing's soaring. We're starting to see 9s now, 8.5, 9s across the board. Spurs coming off a double OT game. It was, I think, 1,057 to 1,056 last night against the Washington Wizards. That game featured, in all seriousness, both teams over 150. I think it was like 310 total points. Yeah.
153. Yep.
So, that can wear you out, right? We know the Spurs like to run. Now they go and play a sound defensive team in Miami on the road, traveling again to Miami. I think that's why we're seeing the movement towards the Heat. I think you lay it here with the Heat as well. I know this is like chalk, right? But I don't see any way the Spurs can get up and hang with the Heat tonight. The Heat, I feel like, motivated team, not willing to relinquish the Eastern Conference. I think they realize these games are important. What do you say on this one?
Yeah, one of my plays last night was the Heat. They played last night as well and beat the Knicks, covered the number. Very good matchup. A team that can't score versus a team that plays very good defense. The Knicks just had some troubles. They hung in for about 3.5 quarters, and then Miami just stretched it out. And I think it might be similar to tonight. Like you already mentioned with the Spurs, they had 4 guys over 40 minutes. Another guy putting up 35. Popovich is weird like this. He might just throw out like 5 guys you never heard of. So this is a game, if you're going to really like the Heat, like it early, because he could just go on total cruise control. You guys win last night, won't even care tonight. But to your point, the game I like opposite of that is the other team that played last night in the double OT game, and that's the Washington Wizards. They put up everything they could in that double OT, 153 points, and lost. And now they have to go to Cleveland that plays excellent defense as well. Cleveland coming off a loss to Detroit. We already talked about it. I think Cleveland is in a great spot tonight, -7 at home to the Washington Wizards. That's the one I like a little more, but I'm with you on the Heat. My only difference is Cleveland didn't play last night. The Heat did. Cleveland's been sitting there waiting. So that's the one I'm eyeing up, but got to fade the teams that played 100 minutes and scored 1,000 points.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, listen, we know Cleveland, going through some injuries, no Garland, no LeVert, right?
Yeah.
You're banged up, but I still think this is a good spot for them. You look at Washington, 9-17 on the road against the spread, not very good. And now you get them tired legs, traveling to Cleveland, playing a team that's going to test them on both ends of the floor. I think it's a good spot as well. Laying the points with the Cavs in that matchup.
If anything, take the under, maybe even too. You gotta worry.
Under
about,
could be a play.
Yeah,
under could absolutely be a play. Some of the other games on the board, I was kind of looking at. There's the late night one, and if you have a play in some of the others, we can definitely talk about. But I wanted to get your opinion on the late night game. Sacramento goes to Denver, right? And this is the second leg of a home and home, right?
Yep.
So the Kings made a lot of noise. They're going all in. They're going all in for the playoff round, like for the play-in game, right? Like they just want to end this drought. They haven't been to the postseason in 1,000 years, it feels like, and they just want to do that. But Sacramento, a team now, going on the road, they got blown out, the first time at home against the Nuggets. I think it was like an 18-point loss. Sabonis had like 33, Jokic had 25 and 12, I believe. Like they, Nuggets handled them pretty easily. And now they have to travel to Denver. And, Denver hasn't been great at home, this year, but I think they can handle business here just because Sacramento, not a strong road team all season. And I don't know if they can get the job done here against Denver. How do you see this one playing out? Do you think that, how strong is the revenge factor in the fact that these two teams just played and Denver put a whooping on them? Can Denver continue to do the same thing? We're looking at like a 7.5-point spread in this one.
Yeah, I hate to say all chalk, but I'm with you a little bit here with Denver as well. I mean, Sacramento hasn't let up less than 109 points to any viable NBA team in the last month. They did let up 103 to OKC, but OKC, come on. They don't have anybody. It's like Detroit.
Yeah.
But hey, listen. Yeah, I'm without the vibes for the morning, man. I'm just trying to wake up a little bit, all right?
I'm checking in, man. He likes to see the eyes. He's like, hey,
Yeah.
I can look in this guy's eyes when he's giving these picks, right?
These 9 o'clock shows, man, I got to wake up. I'll fall asleep if I have the glasses on. Too dark. But I do. The Kings are atrocious, right? And I don't even think there's a such thing as revenge when you're atrocious. You can't beat a team.
Right.
It's not going to help when you got to go to their place.
It's called reinforcement. It's not called revenge.
They're bad, man. They're bad. They're bad all around. And Denver's they're sharp, and they're getting a lot of like nice play out of role players. We know what Jokic is, and Sacramento is atrocious defense against centers. So he's going to have his tonight. But Willie Barton.
Well, Burton had 31 in the first matchup, I believe. Like he went off, and then I think
Highland put up a decent. Not last game. Oh, it was Morris. Morris put up 19. So there's some guys that they're filling in. They can try and double Jokic. They can do whatever they want. I just don't see him competing in this game. Sabonis, nice player, right? He's going to put up his numbers, volume.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
Yeah, that's it, man. Anything else on the NBA board that you like?
No, that's it. I mean, if you want to have a little fun at 12 o'clock today, I would consider Cade Cunningham going over his points. I think he's 16.5 on a lot of markets. He's averaged about 18 shots his past 3 games since coming back from injury. He leads the team in shots. He's going to put up volume. I know Boston's defense is good and suffocating, but even last game when they played Cleveland, another good defense, he went 8 of 22. So he's going to get his. He's out there trying to get one thing, and that's the Rookie of the Year. I'm not sure he'll get it over Evan Mobley, but he's going to try. And in that case, I would be entertained with 16.5, his over prop. Try and get out of the gates with a win.
Nice. Best bet on the board for today. One NBA bet, if you had to make it, what would it be?
It would be Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland. I think I would go to the other end. I would go Miami, but we're playing off the double overtime. I think both of us. I might play a little Celtics too, just because, I like a nooner. What are you going to do, right? We got UFC fights tonight. We start things off at 12, make it feel like college football season all over again. But speaking of college, right? NBA, college basketball really coming down the stretch. March Madness right around the corner. We got about 2 weeks before that kicks off. The greatest probably sports betting event, all year, that goes over a couple days. Obviously the Super Bowl rakes in all the money, but March Madness definitely an event of its own. Cannot wait for that. College basketball card, Dave. We got some big ones today. We got some SEC games on the docket. Kentucky and Auburn. Not Kentucky. Kentucky and Arkansas, and then Auburn and Tennessee. Lots of big games on the board, man, as these teams kind of, get themselves in position to make a run, this year in the tournament. Any games jumping off the board at you that you're playing college basketball today?
Yeah, I'll give out two, and then we can talk about one. But there's so many big ones, and it's gonna be fun today. And really, if you're just getting into college basketball because you've been preoccupied by football, NBA, all kinds of things, now's still a really good time because you're gonna start to see what teams are how their rotations, what they're playing to line up for their conference tournament, and ultimately the NCAA tournament. So it's a great time. You're not too late. Great time to jump in. And one of those games you want to jump in on early, to me, is over in the Big Ten. You have a 12 o'clock game tip-off between one of my favorites that I think will be in the Final Four, and that's Purdue traveling to Michigan State. Michigan State coming off some awful games recently. Last week, losing to Illinois. They got beat up early and then came back, but, not enough down the stretch. I think Coburn had a huge game down low, really dominated inside. And then they just lost by 1 million to Iowa earlier this week, 86-60. And it's not a Tom Izzo type team. They've lost 5 out of their last 6.
No.
Probably going to take a miracle to make the tournament. They are still 19-9 overall, or 18-9. So they're still decent, but they're going to need some big name wins. And where you have Purdue, on the other hand, one of the best offensive teams in the nation, number 4 overall, trending in the right direction, tied for the top spot in the Big Ten with Wisconsin. So today's huge, but here's what's even bigger. Their next game is Wisconsin. So I fear we got a little bit of a look ahead here. I fear we got a little bit of a more motivated team with Michigan State knowing what's on the line, also getting their heads beat in recently. Michigan State's a pretty good offensive team as far as three-point shooting goes. They're 20th in the nation. Purdue is 209th guarding the 3. And I'm getting 5 points at home versus a team that I can think that can make some threes here. I'm going to take the Michigan State Spartans as a home dog +5 at the noon game today. Purdue, don't forget, they're not great on the road. The last time they played a decent team on the road in the state of Michigan, it was before Juwan Howard slapped someone, and Michigan beat them 82-58 by 24. So they were slapping something else that day. But I don't love Purdue. Like, even their last road game, they beat Northwestern, not a very good team, by 6. So I like Michigan State today.
Nice. I like it. Now, there's a lot of talking. The tournament's going to come, right? And a lot of bettors are going to hear about Izzo and the tournament and, how, there's kind of that narrative that he can just kind of turn it up with this team when he wants. I know we like him today, but long-term thoughts on Izzo and the Spartans, because I think that's just something bettors should watch out for, man. And it's just, this is a different team every year, with these guys. And I don't know if you can just bank on Izzo cranking it up, when it comes time for the tournament.
You make such a good point there. There's so many times where novice bettors or people who aren't, typically in the game and just want to jump in and have some fun, which is great. That's a great style to have. Don't get sucked in by the Tom Izzo noise. I'm 100% with you. I felt like, and I'm going to tell you the truth, I felt like a lot of people got sucked in with the Nick Saban, he doesn't lose to Kirby Smart kind of noise too. You got to really look at the situation in teams. I know we were both on Georgia at the time. And it's just, Izzo, this team is not his best. He struggles with this team. They shoot pretty decent from outside, but they lack an in-depth defense. Today, I think Edey's going to have a huge game against them. But if you're trading 2s for 3s, I want the 3 team. So I do think buyer beware. Michigan State is not good. If they get in, I'm thinking they're a 10. So you're going to see them in a 7-10 game, and people are going to be all jazzed up. Izzo. I'm not so sure.
Fade tournament time. That's what I'm saying. All right. Anything else you got on the docket today? Best bets, college basketball, as we prepare ourselves for March Madness. Any of these SEC games you like?
Yeah, I do. There's 2 really marquee ones today. Last week, jumped all over Kentucky. A nice win they had against Alabama. Today, you got Arkansas, one of the hottest teams in the SEC. I'm going to leave that one alone, and I'm going to go to the other marquee matchup. It was Auburn traveling to Tennessee. And you got 2 different teams here, in my opinion, with Auburn. You got a great home team that's 15-0 and beats everyone down. And then they got a team that goes on the road and really struggles. They've lost their last 2. They lost at Florida and Arkansas, obviously. And then before that, they beat the worst team in the SEC, a team that has like 5 wins, Georgia by 2, I think Missouri by 1. They're not world beaters on the road. And then you go to Tennessee, who's 14-0 at home, who's beaten the likes of Arizona this year at home, Kentucky by double digits, LSU. In fact, out of their 14 wins at home this year, 11 have been by double digits. Only 1 was within like 4 or 5. That's just a really tough place to play. Let's also remember, this is a place that Bruce Pearl, the head coach of Auburn, used to coach at. Now, Auburn has won 6 straight against Tennessee, but I think they have the weapons in place right now. I think they have the motivation. I think that place is going to be a rocking.
Yeah, they're going to be fired up, man.
Fired up. They play a really tough, aggressive, defensive style of basketball. I think they trap well. They create turnovers. And when you're in that environment, those seem to double, triple. So I like Tennessee today overall. I like them at -3. I've seen some 2.5s. Well, if we creep up over 3.5, I might get a little worried. But I'm solid on 3. I'll take Tennessee Volunteers home -3. Great home team versus an average road team. Now Auburn still has margin left. They can lose this game and still win the SEC. They need to win 1 out of their next 2 to win the SEC, and I think they know that too.
Yeah. I think that, Auburn went on that stretch where they were cashing tickets, and now you're kind of seeing it go the other way. The regression hitting, was unable to cover against Ole Miss, which I thought was interesting. Even though they blew the doors off, they kind of let them back in that game. That was a game that I was talking about a little bit during the week. But, Jabari Smith, they're going to have, some advantages down low. But like I said, I think the environment's just a lot. And I think that's across the board in the SEC, man. When you get into these SEC games, it's the home teams very, very valuable. Those home courts very valuable. So keep that in mind as we move past the conference tournaments into March Madness. Some of these teams that you see the way they've been playing at home, not going to be at home in the tournament. Right. So you're going to have to kind of adjust your ratings according to that. Anything else on the college basketball board that you like, or are they the 2 bangers for today?
They're the 2 bangers for today. I will say tonight is really interesting, and I may release it later, but the Kansas-Baylor game has me intrigued. This is a Kansas team that won by about 30 the last time they played Baylor. It was in Fog Allen. It was in Kansas, and now they're traveling on the road to Baylor. And Baylor's sitting there as 3.5-point favorites. The number 10 team in the nation versus number 5, and the team that got smoked is a large favorite. To me, 3.5. You look at college basketball, again, that like 3-point margin is typical for a home court advantage, maybe even 4 in some cases, depending where you're playing. And you're telling me that means these 2 teams are even on a neutral court, and I'm not sure about that. So the line's telling me something in that game. I watched Baylor play Oklahoma State the other day. Not impressive at all. Had to sneak out an overtime victory there. They're not Baylor from last year. That's for damn sure. But they're still good. And when you're getting 3.5, it just seems too big. Sometimes when it seems too big, Vegas is up to something. So I won't say where I'm at, but it's going to be an interesting game. And if I get a couple early, I might bang that one.
Attaboy. Yeah, money line, right?
Money. Yeah, that's where I go.
Definitely. My man. Listen, so college basketball, we have a ton more coming up with March Madness. Once these markets open up, that's really going to be where we can make some money. Can't wait for the tournament. Can't wait for college basketball to really kick in the high gear. But have some plays for today, as we can get ready. Let's turn the page, Dave. UFC and golf, I want to hit on. You got some golf plays for the people. I got a UFC play. I know. How's my guy Mitchell doing?
Well, Keith fought back and did make the cut, so we'll take that. And the nice thing about making this cut is I think he placed himself at 40th overall when he made the cut. You just got to get him 1 or 2 strokes better on the weekend here. He'll hit that top. Yeah, right now to get the top 20, he's got to get to -2. So 3 strokes away from that. I like his chances. I think he's had some tough breaks over the weekend or prior to the weekend here. But hey, if you're watching Wednesday night, I only give out 3 winners a week, and one of the big ones was Daniel Berger. And like if he can come back at 18-1 on the money, I actually just plugged him in. I plugged him in at 6-1 again yesterday, and -120 today. He's by clear far the favorite in my opinion, and the best player in that field up to like the next best one's -2, 8 strokes off. So I really like Berger to take this one. I do have a few matchups today, and we started early out there. But I think these are still live and on the line. I'm just double checking here. Yeah, a couple of you are still live. They haven't teed off yet. I am looking at Svensson. My man Svensson yesterday was on fire versus Kurt Kitayama. The matchup, he's minus 145, so he's a little juiced, but Svensson hit 18 out of 18 green in regulations yesterday. And it's the first time that's happened in the PGA since like 2007. Kid's got some game. I like his chance. Kitayama's great story, but has never finished higher than like 50th in a PGA tournament. He's done 36 good holes. I'm ready for the Doug Gim round. You know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely, the Reaper.
Gim, when he was looking good, it was you saw what happened in the players.
Hold your breath.
Yeah.
Hold your breath, man. Hold your breath.
And then the second one I really love is Gary Woodland over Taylor Pendrith. Woodland was striping the ball all over the place, couldn't make a putt yesterday. As long as he's hitting the ball, Chris, some of these are going to drop. He's playing really, really well. He was down to like +3 on Thursday and finished his round with 5 out of 6 birdies. And then he played well yesterday, and when I think he shot 68. So I like the way he's hitting the ball. A couple putts drop. I think he takes out Pendrith. He's only minus 120. So those two matchups in golf today, love, love, love. PJ National, ball strikers heaven.
Boom, boom. Let's get it, man. Hopefully my guy Mitchell can come through. Past the +150 for me. Need him to get in the top 20. So Killer Keith has to get it done. But definitely some good plays there in golf. I'm going to wrap things up with the UFC. Hit our parlay last week. We had Hill. He got it by knockout. We hit that. We also hit the parlay with Onama. Two of the most, jaw-dropping knockouts I think we've seen in a while. If you saw the clips of those fights, definitely incredible performances by both those fighters. But this week we have a little bit of an underassuming card. Main event, Makhachev, number 4 lightweight in the world, taking on late replacement Bobby Green. Not much value there. Makhachev minus 900. I do have him rolled into a parlay with Martinez and Nunes. That gets it, gets the odds up to +137. So I am playing that. I also am playing Terence McKinney for 1 unit. McKinney's a guy, Dave, you can't blink while this guy's fighting. Last 4 fights all have ended within the first minute and 12. 3 of them have ended in the first 17 seconds by knockout. Terence McKinney gets the job done. Power shots, can drop bombs, but also has a strong wrestling background. And I think that's why I like him in this fight, because Ziam's going to try and keep him at range. He's going to try and use kicks. He's going to try and keep him at distance, keep him on the outside. I think eventually McKinney gets in. Whether he gets the knockout or not, I think he can utilize that wrestling. And I think once he gets Ziam down, he's not going to be able to get up. So the combination of that knockout power and the wrestling he can fall back on if he's not there gives me confidence here in McKinney that if he doesn't get the knockout early, he can still has a path to victory, can still grind out a decision. So I got McKinney at +105, short dog. That's probably my favorite bet of the day. Have that, have a parlay, and also have Altamara is fighting, or it's the first fight that goes off, so keep an eye on this. I'm gonna hit this one, but I'm just waiting because the market's going against us here, so the odds are getting better. He's an underdog. Like right now, we're looking at. Let me see where are we at from the odds perspective on him. It looks like.
Is that a prelim card?
It is. It's the first fight. It's the first fight. So this is flyweights. It's both their UFC debut. It's right around. It looks like the consensus up to +130 now. Yep. Yeah, +130. So it's rising. So the market's going against us. I'm okay with it. Listen, this guy's got incredible kicks. A little bit of a high variance of a striker, where Hernandez is a little more well-rounded. But I think that's going to help him on the scorecards. I think that. In that situation with him, if I'm going to let it probably go till about 2:00 today, see where the line is. But if I can get it, I'm going to just go try and get the best number here. But I'm going to play him. I'll probably do about 3/4 of a unit on him, and then a 1/4 of a unit on the him by decision. But I think it's a winnable fight for him. Like I said, his opponent Hernandez probably has a more well-rounded skill set, but a little bit more conservative. So I think, in the 3-round fight, you get those highlight moments. They can kind of steal you some rounds. So I like him in this matchup. So I'm going to be playing him, probably split the units, 3/4 on him on the money line, and then 1/4 on him by decision. But just waiting to get the right number there. So hopefully we can get some more wins here, with the UFC. And, we got plenty of plays in NBA, college basketball. It's going to be a fun couple months, especially as we get into March Madness, Dave.
Man, I love it. We slammed a few NBA picks, few college hoops picks, few golf picks, few UFC. So if you tuned in early this morning, you got a full pack of plays to just go have some fun with, make your own cards. But let's see if we get some winners today and pull out that cash. Last night was a big night for us. I know I was all over the Sixers, Harden over his 21.
Yep.
You know, we talked about the Heat earlier. I know Drums had some good hits last night. So let's just ride this wave and build that bankroll.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Listen, everybody, thank you for tuning in. We will be back next week at our regular scheduled time, 10 a.m., a little early this morning, so we wanted to get started early. But, you got the nooners. You got the nooners in college basketball. You got the nooners in NBA. Make sure you hit them both. But I'm Mark Drumheller for Dave Kleckner. We'll be back next week. We'll see you. Everybody get that money.